welcome to But Are There Dragons, a podcast where two friends pick a book at least one of them has not read and talk about it.
I'm your host, Kritter.
And I'm your host, Jess. And welcome back to Season 6, Episode 2, where we're discussing the back half of Project Hail Mary. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing good.
We have a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself to anybody who is watching or listening, Mr. Kritter?
Sure. I'm Garrett. I am Kritter's husband. Also a fairly avid reader of stuff and things. So just wanted to come on and share some thoughts about a book that I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah. And he's a bit of a hater sometimes. No, I'm kidding. I've talked about it on the Wheel and Chill show a little bit, how he's been a little soft at portions of the Wheel of Time show. So he is not afraid to be critical, which, I appreciate. So I will ask to kick us off, since you don't really have any projects to plug. You're not a content creator. So to let them get to know you a little bit better, what would you say your favorite book and or book series is? And if you want to get specific, it's if that's too broad of a question, make it a sci-fi or fantasy book, or one sci-fi book and one fantasy book, whatever you want.
Oh gosh. Man, that is tough. I don't know that I could pick a favorite. I could pick some favorites. So I read The Magicians recently, the trilogy, and I really enjoyed that a lot.
Nice.
It's kind of an interesting throwback to, what was it like to read Harry Potter as a child? What is it like to read The Magicians as an adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very absorbing and very fun, but also very adult and terrible in a lot of ways. So that was interesting. On the sci-fi side, I like all kinds of stuff. Recently, obviously read Project Hail Mary, but I tend to like a lot of almost detective style or suspense, I guess, sci-fi that I've been reading recently. I read The Gone World, which was a really interesting one that was kind of like a detective sci-fi, very weird, but very, very fun. I've read a lot of Blake Crouch's stuff, which is kind of just fun, turn your brain off, actiony sci-fi suspense stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I could pick a favorite.
Okay.
Because there's just
That's
so
a
many
nice
different
sampling,
things.
though. That was a good.
Yeah.
sampling.
If I had to say a pure sci-fi, probably my favorite was Hyperion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's an incredible one.
Yeah.
And Wheel of Time is up there for you, correct?
On the fantasy side, yeah, it's up there. I have to be honest, I don't like really long, epic fantasy stuff. I tend to stay away from it. I think Wheel of Time is the only epic fantasy I've actually finished, if that makes you feel better. So
that says something.
I do like it. I do like it a lot. I really enjoyed the story arc, but definitely got bogged down in some of the, details of a many thousands of pages long series.
You're not alone in that. I can't relate, but you're not alone.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I hope, audience, that you now feel like you know Mr. Kritter, aka Garrett, a little bit better with his book tastes. We are going to start this episode, to the extent we haven't already started it, with a new segment. And we've kind of already been doing this, but we're gonna give it a name. And that name is But Are There Updates? Basically, we're gonna talk about whatever we want to talk about. Usually gonna be things that are recently on our minds. And today, the recording day, the Oscar nominations got released. And some of the movies that are nominated are movies that I saw this year and really, really, really enjoyed. So did you all see the nominations, or should I give you a little bit of a rundown? Okay, you guys didn't see it. That's fine. Garrett, you and I watched these movies together, but for example, the Best Picture nominees include Bugonia. Well, it's relevant to this podcast also because there's a lot of what feels like sci-fi, fantasy, horror stuff in the nominations, which isn't always the case. So I was really pleased to see that Bugonia was nominated. Sinners was nominated, which is a credible horror. It actually broke the record for the most nominations of any movie ever, which was super cool. Wild. I think it got 16. The Frankenstein actually got a solid number of nominations, which I was pretty excited about. And then, oh my gosh, there was one more that I can't remember. We just watched it. Oh well, I'll come up with it. So, Jessica, have you seen any of those movies?
No, they're all 3 on my list.
Okay.
So Frankenstein, more so than Sinners, just because it's at least IP I'm somewhat familiar with. Sinners looks interesting to me. Horror generally isn't my jam.
Okay.
But I do occasionally dip my toes in. I just have had a couple of not so great horror experiences that make me like leave it for ages at a time. And Begonia just looks interesting. So they're all on my list. I just have not been I haven't been consuming movies much lately, I guess. I made time for Wicked and Wicked for Good, but
those got completely snubbed. Wicked for Good, no nominations. Not a single one. So
Okay. But otherwise we're doing a lot of bingeable TV. So it just, we go through phases, and that's currently my phase. So now I know I'm gonna this is going to sound so silly. We are just about to finish Smallville because I had never watched it.
Oh, Tom Welling was my childhood, like, heartthrob crush. Before I had a picture of Garrett as my desktop background, I kid you not, it was a picture of Tom Welling. Like, and it wasn't my desktop.
Which is a strong choice. Like, strong choice. Garrett, don't take it personally, but I mean, Tom Welling is a specimen.
Yeah.
And
man.
Mr. Jessica knows how I feel about that as well, so it's fine. I was a Supernatural girly. Have actually even been to like a Supernatural convention. Like, I was a Supernatural girly.
Okay. I've never seen
that
it.
was.
I know.
I mean, it has its own lore. It's got its own jumping the shark moments. It's got its own fanatical fan group. I also kind of dabbled in that, right? Like, that was my actual first con, believe it or not. I went to that before I found Wheel of Time. So yeah, it's kind of fun. But anyway, and Jensen Ackles crossed over. He did a season in Smallville, and yeah, so that's one thing that Daniel and I have in common. We like that kind of story. So we try to find shows that are bingeable, and every once in a while, like currently we're watching Stargate as well, because I've never watched the show.
Stargate. Stargate's like up there. Would you say that's your favorite series, Garrett?
I think Avatar: The Last Airbender is probably like my favorite series of all, but favorite sci-fi, I think Stargate and like The Next Generation are probably like tied.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we're only about a handful of episodes into Stargate. We started with the movie, which seems like it's appropriate. Yep. And we're just starting off into Stargate world, and it's been fun. But that's usually what we do, 9 times out of 10. And then every once in a while I'll be like, I need just a regular movie. We go from there.
That's fair. So, Garrett, I'll mention, even though this isn't in the sci-fi fantasy horror category, One Battle After Another was also nominated. So between the 4 that I mentioned, the 4 that we have seen so far, although I really want to see Marty Supreme because I'm a big Timothy Shakalaka Boom fan, so I like really want to see it, especially because he's like one of the front runners for Best Actor, so I feel like I gotta be informed. So out of Sinners, One Battle After Another, Bugonia. Wow.
Cat.
Is that Agni?
That's Agni.
Yes.
His Majesty is not happy.
And Frankenstein, what would you pick as your best picture?
Yeah, that's tough because they're all really good. They're all very unique and very different.
Very different.
I feel like Sinners is probably the most well-rounded of all of them. Like, it's probably the best all-around movie experience.
So entertaining. Oh my god.
Yeah, it has a lot going for it. The other, the weirdest by far is Begonia. That movie is, I think, too weird to win Best Picture. To be honest, like it's very bizarre. It was very well done.
Emma Stone was nominated for Best Actress, but get this, Jesse Plemons did not get the nomination for actor.
Surprising.
Which is wild because he's good in everything, but he was so good in that, like very just something else. Like, I mean, it's not really spoiling anything because you know at the very beginning that he is just unhinged and he played it. He did it well. So I think that was the biggest snub for me was that he wasn't nominated. But I tend to agree with you. I think Sinners, of all the Best Picture nominees that I have seen, that one would win for me, even though I had a great time with Begonia and I loved Frankenstein. I want to see Frankenstein get some like cinematography or something like that, because it is a beautiful movie. And Jacob Elordi got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for it. So, I mean, I think it's like a shoo-in, I would hope, for like, the makeup, maybe, costuming production design, but like even just the cinematography, because it's gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning. So if I had to pick though, I'd say Sinners number 1, Best Picture. What we just watched One Battle After Another, and after we watched it, we kind of looked at each other. We were like, because I think it won the Critics' Choice Award, and we were like, okay. I mean, it was fun, but like,
I don't even know what it's about.
I didn't either, and honestly.
And that's fine. But
I would go in blind for sure.
Yeah.
Too,
okay.
But it's a great movie. I mean, there's nothing, it's kind of weird because in my mind, like nothing wrong with it, but also there's not a lot that I'm like, this really stuck out to me about it. I guess it's just like fun.
It's a fun movie.
Kind of funny most of the way through. Good action, good cinematography.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a ton that I was like really into, I guess.
Yeah, some people are saying that it may win Best Picture just because Paul Thomas Anderson hasn't yet.
Yeah.
Which to me, I hate those. I hate it when it's like, okay, well, you've got this body of work that's robust enough that it's finally your time, even though like in the moment, this is not the one. This isn't your best, So anyways, it's fine. If it wins, I'll be like, okay. But if Sinners wins, I'll be like, hell yeah, brother, let's go. So anyways, I think that was a good first, but are there updates? Well done, us. Sorry, Jessica, that I picked a topic that you are somewhat unfamiliar in. But
that's kind of our MO, right? That's like you're
true.
The vet and I'm just plugging along. So
a lot of these movies are now available on streaming for what it's worth on the various streaming platforms. So like,
and that's my jam, right? Like I want to watch something on my TV with my snacks on my couch.
Except for when Project Hail Mary comes out in March.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
With Ryan Gosling at the head playing Grace. What I always forget his Ryland Grace, which is interesting. And we talked in the last episode about how we thought that, like, I thought it was a good casting because I don't really get like a person in my mind when I read books typically. And so he's got the dry humor for me, and I think it'll work and it fits. Other people are less inclined with like, oh, that's not really who I pictured. It would have been more of a, who did Daniel say that was like?
Oh gosh.
Was it the guy who played Bones or whatever? I'm trying to. No, it's somebody else.
No. It'll come to me.
I said Jeremy Renner.
I'll text you.
And then
he was like
a guy that looks just like him. Yeah.
Yes, it was literally a same difference moment. Regardless, yes, but he got there, right? Like that's He was like, you can do things, and Gosling does have a great humor. Like I'm stoked. I cannot wait.
Yeah. How
Garrett,
do you feel about the casting? Yeah.
I don't know that I had too many thoughts. I thought it was good. Like, I'm glad that they got somebody like, who can actually do really well in the role, right? But I don't know. Like, I'm kind of with you in that I don't necessarily always picture what people look like or anything, like while, outside of like major features, maybe like if they're supposed to be really tall or that's a defining feature or something, like, sure, I'll, think about that as I'm reading. But otherwise, Doesn't bother me too much. I think it was a good casting in the sense they got somebody who could play like a somewhat funny and serious role, which is
Mm-hmm.
definitely what they needed. So it made sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we have officially finished Project Hail Mary. We ended the last. I don't even remember where the last half ended, if I'm honest. But
Chapter 14, and so we left off with Rocky had just created his own like
he was coming into the ship.
gerbil ball,
That's
so
right.
that like life support unit, so that he could come in to Ryland's ship.
That's correct. So not long after that, if I'm just going to jump right in, there was an extremely stressful situation where Ryland gets like pinned under a chair and almost dies, and then Rocky essentially sacrifices himself to save him, and then Ryland tries to in return save Rocky. Anyways, it's this back and forth saving situation where it was a lot of stress, and did anybody think somebody wasn't going to make it? How do we feel about the whole? You thought somebody was? Who'd you think was going to die?
I didn't know, right? But
Okay.
like that was all I could think of in the first book. Once we met Rocky, I was like, holy shit, excuse my language. This was a suicide mission, and that was fine in my brain until it was possible that it was a suicide mission that was going to be witnessed by another living creature. And so this was the second half was very edge of my seat for me, because I'm like, oh, well, somebody's going to die. Well, it's just a question of who now.
Okay. So you thought it was going to be perhaps one or the other. Maybe. Okay. Garrett, did you get stressed when lives started getting on the line?
No, I don't know. I have such a problem being like kind of meta about books, and I was like, okay, we're not like anywhere close to the end in this thing, and this like relationship is pretty much driving this story. So there's like no way they're just gonna like kill one of them off, halfway through. So it was like, it's stressful, it's suspenseful, and like I don't know. I always think of like his books as like little puzzle boxes. So like the stress is in like, okay, how are they going to figure it out? Right. There's this crazy problem going on. What crazy thing is going to happen to fix it? So yeah, I was less convinced that anybody was going to actually be dead.
Well, and part of the problem solving ended up being not really a good solution. One of the ways that Grace tried to save Rocky was kind of like power washing him, or like snow blowing him, or I can't even remember what he used.
Pressurized air or whatever.
Thank you. Yes, he used like an air compressor to blow out essentially the scabs off of Rocky's wounds.
But what he thought he was doing was blowing out like dust and char.
Yeah.
Which I fully like I had committed 110% in the moment. I'm like, yes, brother, you are good job.
I do appreciate when the problem solver who's been solving all the problems just completely whiffs, like 0 out of 10, makes the exact wrong choice. Obviously, it didn't end up in tragedy, but it could have, Again, I'm kind of, though, with you, Garrett, where I didn't think they were ever actually like really gonna die. I have that same thing with like shows where it's like, I don't want to spoil anything, but in one of the biggest fantasy shows ever, a character dies. And I was like, no. Like, I don't care. There were like 2 years between seasons. Never for 1 second was I like, oh yeah, he's definitely dead. No, absolutely not. He was alive the whole time. Well, actually he was dead, but then they brought him back, which is what I expected. But you don't know what I'm talking about unless you do. Anyway, so we talked about this in the last episode, Garrett, and since you have a math and science background, actually, fun fact, Garrett was a math major with a physics minor in college. I know. What? Anyway, so as a math major, physics minor, was the science real science, and or did it distract you? Did you like it? How do you feel about the science in Project Hail Mary?
Or was it sciencey enough?
Yeah, was it sciencey enough? Was it too sciencey?
How do we feel about well, science? I am no expert because I have been, not participating in any of those fields for a long time. But
still, I mean, a little bit. You know more than I do.
Sure. But no, I mean, I found it like entertaining, and like I guess just based on my education, it was definitely like stuff that I grokked. I understood what was going on, and I understood the solutions, and like I like his books for that reason, because they are, again, kind of just like these like science puzzle boxes where you're like, oh, what kind of like fun, interesting loop is he gonna run through here to solve this problem? And it all made sense, like, I mean, obviously the astrophage is like space magic, so you can't really say much about that. But and like so much of like how they solve problems is based on the astrophage, right? And a lot of it's like biology stuff, which again, not really my background, but from what I understand was pretty seemingly legit.
Yeah.
um but no, I mean, like, from a physics perspective, like, I think one of the things that was kind of funny for me was reading the part where Rocky's trying to explain like why he had so much fuel left. And
Mhm.
like at first I was like, what is he talking about? But then like two sentences in, I was immediately like, oh my gosh, yeah, this guy's never heard of
Time
relativity
dilation.
before. Like,
Yeah.
that's hilarious. So, stuff like that where it's like, if you know enough to like kind of understand at a surface level what's going on, he puts these fun bits in there that you can kind of figure out before the characters figure out, and that's a lot of fun too. So
Yeah,
I feel like
you definitely can.
I feel like Garrett and Daniel had parallel experiences, and I'm just over here going, "What's gonna happen next?"
Yeah. I'm over here like, "Okay, relativity, they talk about that in Interstellar for
Yeah,
sure."
yeah, they
uh,
definitely
yeah.
mentioned that somewhere. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm more of a vibes girly, so I want to ask you this as somebody who at least has a fighting chance of understanding the science more. I was definitely um much more involved from like putting on my sleuth hat and trying to problem solve along the way, whereas typically when I read I'm very passive, like I'm just along for the ride. And I don't know why, but I think it's a compliment to the writer that he like engaged me and I was like, oh, this is a problem I should try to solve, even though I don't know squat about science. So for someone who does at least have a passing knowledge of science, was it a thing where you were trying to solve alongside with the puzzle box, or were you just waiting for him to tell you? Because I do understand your point, right? About anything related to the astrophage, other than are you consistent with the premise you've set, you can't problem solve that.
Right, right. Yeah, no, for sure. There's quite a few things, like situations that come up in the book where I'm like, oh yeah, like I might not have done it exactly that way, but I was like thinking along those lines. Like I think this is like way early on in the book, but when he's like not sure where he is and he's trying to figure out like why gravity doesn't feel right, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna
Mhm.
make this basically pendulum to like measure the effect. I was like, okay, yep, that makes sense. Like that's kind of where I was going. I was like, he started like measuring some things, but then he's like, I can do it. I can do it more precisely this way. That was kind of an interesting one. Like later in the book when they're talking about the this is actually more on the biology side, but I feel like I kind of figured out almost like immediately for some reason, like right when they were talking about like, oh man, what happened to the fuel supply or whatever. I was like, oh man, yeah, they have like some resistant they have a resistant
Mhm.
strain in there, right? And like,
Mhm.
but they can use that, right? Like they can breed these things, like they could figure this out. So it's like stuff like that again, where it's like if you have some, I spent some time in college working as a mathematician for like a biology team. So I was like, okay, I picked up some stuff from that enough to be like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. Yep, I was kind of on the same page. Like I see where they're going with some of these, but others are kind of like out of the blue too. Like you know, I see how they solve it, and I'm like, oh, that's not how I would have thought about that, but that's really interesting. So there's enough, I think, that it's like I said, again, by no means an expert, but just based on surface level knowledge of stuff, it's like, yeah, I can grok a lot of it, and I can have some of my own insights, and also think about these in a similar-ish way, maybe to the main character.
Is this math and science speak, or am I just, like, not hip enough? Grok? Like,
Oh,
that's the Twitter AI.
oh,
Was that a
sorry,
word
yeah.
before the Twitter AI happened?
No, yes, it was. Stranger in a Strange Land is the
Oh.
is Heinlein novel that introduced that term. It's basically to understand.
Wow.
I've
Yeah,
used it
I
for forever
knew.
because I'm old and
Yeah.
I'm older than Grok the AI. So
Oh, okay, but I mean, we're the same age, and I don't know that I've ever heard that, but I haven't read Stranger
you were
Things.
So
big into
I've heard
sci-fi back in the day,
No,
though.
yeah, I wasn't.
I've heard the reference. I didn't know what book it went to, but that it was just like a general understanding, like you're able to like reason out what a thing means. But I
Okay.
didn't know what it was a reference
Well,
to.
now I extra hate that X commandeered that. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate it too. I honestly even forgot that that was a thing because I just kind of ignore
Yeah, I can't help
everything
it
that's happening over there. But
Yeah.
because I'm still on X, and every comment section is Grok. Explain that. Grok, is this true? Grok,
Uh,
what's going on? People are terrible. Like, it's awful. It's
I
an awful
I choose to
place.
live my life without social media, so I have no
Yeah,
concept of what even goes on
I
in the
know.
world out there.
Honestly, probably way better for all of your
Uh,
mental health.
Somebody will have to fact check me though. I'm pretty sure that's the
Are you
book that
Googling it? Your keyboard is
it's
so
he's
been yeah,
Googling
it's
it.
been like,
He's
keyboard's
totally
very
20
Googling it.
years since I've read that, so I have to make sure that that's actually
okay. Well,
where it came from or if I'm just hallucinating.
hey, I'm sure you're probably right. Okay, so we've got we talked about how this book is based on the flashback model. Grace is learning about the mission in flashbacks throughout him actually being on the mission, and one of the flashbacks in this segment was the explosion. Was the last minute, both of the science officers getting murdered, not murdered, but via a mistake, an innocent mistake, clerical error, they got
Mhm.
killed, right? So Jessica, how did you take that? Were you surprised by that? Obviously we knew that
I
he ended up on the mission.
Yeah. I was surprised, even though we did know that eventually he winds up in the chair, right? But I was still surprised because I swallowed it hook, line, and sinker like I always do. That Ava Strat had a policy in place that nary the two shall meet, like never have all of you in the same place for redundancy purposes. So I just swallowed that part and parcel,
Mhm.
right? So once they did the explosion, I was like, I was more like, holy cow, about the tragic death, and less about, oh well, that's how he ends up in the chair.
That's fair. That's fair. Garrett, were you surprised? Like how did the explosion hit you?
Um Less surprised, but definitely like a shocking turn of events, right? Like
Yeah.
I kind of was waiting all along for like something horrible to happen to the researchers, mainly because like I don't know, it's kind of like a sci-fi trope, like strange alien thing that I'm tooling around with, it's gonna blow me up at some point, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it hadn't really gone badly for in any way up to
Yeah.
I
that
was going to
point.
say things were
Uh,
going along really well for quite a while.
Yeah.
so I'm
Sus.
surprised, yeah, surprised like how and what happened. But the fact that like something happened to kind of throw a wrench into things wasn't super surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, it to me was more of a like, oh, so so believable that it was based on a clerical error, right? It's just like, of course that's
Yeah.
how it happened, right? Like human error is gonna mess things up. I agree with you, Jessica, that I was also like, why were they in the same place? like I understand because I remember them saying like, of course they're never gonna be on the same helicopter at the same time and stuff like that, but instead it was just like keep them separated at all times, or else, there are only what 7,000 people in the world that have this gene. So, and how many of those are scientists? Like it was not smart, which is wild because Strat is such a smarty pants in most ways.
Mhm.
I guess we didn't get a ton of, well, that's not true. We did get an extreme conversation with Strat in this segment. So I think given the explosion, we should just get into it, right? Strat
Sure.
laid down the line with Grace, and it was giving him the choice about being the science officer, or not science officer, being the scientist on the mission. And Grace said no. He said no, and he said no again. He doubled down and he used the kids as his excuse, which to me was the dumbest thing to say ever. It's like, save the kids' lives or bolster them for the hard times to come. It was BS. His excuse was BS. Garrett, how did his like I hope don't be influenced by my opinions here, but when it happened, I was like, F you, Grace, you're a coward. Like, the world is depending on you, and you're P-wording out. So, Garrett, go ahead. How did you feel about it? Do you disagree with my take?
I mean, no, as a character, I think that's the point. Like, he is not a brave person. Like, he does not see himself as a brave person, and he did not like live his life in some sort of valiant, I'm going to save the world way. And so in that way, I think it was very interesting, like from a narrative perspective. It was a nice twist because, the boring, obvious answer would have been like he volunteered and stood up and marched onto the ship and went out there and saved the universe type of a thing. But no, he didn't. He didn't want to be there, and he had to be there anyways and figure it out. And I think also having to have that, like him having to have that realization much later in this whole process is also really interesting, right? Because it's like, he woke up on the ship just trying to figure everything out, and then he realizes, like, at the 11th hour that he didn't even want to be here. And, psychologically, that's got to be pretty rough on a person. But yeah, no, as a character, yeah, I mean, he's kind of a coward, right? Like at the start, like that's just how it is. But that's also why he's interesting, I think, in a lot of ways, and why the decisions that he makes at the end are even more interesting.
Jessica,
and consequently, yeah, I mean, I liked it, and I liked the fact that he took the time to write out, and she was right, which made him even angrier. Which, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
salt in the wound, absolutely, because she was right. I am gonna ultimately just go through with it. Which, as much as I honestly didn't have a problem with him being a coward, it didn't surprise me, and it didn't. I mean, it disappointed me. Don't get me wrong, it disappointed me, but it's not like I got really, really mad, because kind of like what you were saying, Garrett, like not everybody is astronaut material, not everybody is hero material, and he has never perceived himself that way. The thing that was upsetting for me about that was Strat calling him out, right? Like, you play it safe. I knew that you wouldn't rise to the occasion because you're a coward. So that part of it was rough. And then his ultimate realization that, and above and beyond that, she was right, because obviously I'm going to do the right thing now that I have no choice.
Yeah. So, having talked about that conversation, we talked a lot about Strat in the last episode and how we felt about her. And without giving you any hint about how we feel about her, Garrett, how do you feel about Strat?
Gosh. I mean, she, in a way, is kind of like a common archetype, I feel like, in stories like this. Jessica, you said you were doing Stargate, right? Like she's General Hammond from Stargate. Like the person who's like, I love my team, but my purpose is to defend the earth and do what's right for humanity. I'm going to do that no matter what, and no matter the cost, whatever. So like from that perspective, I think that was just kind of her role, right? Like you can look at the decisions she made and be like, oh yeah, they're kind of morally dubious and definitely cross some lines there. But like, in the back of your head that it's like, at the end of the day, like these are people technically like under her command. And she's going to do whatever she needs to do to get the job done. And that's sort of respectable in a way, I guess, when, like all of existence depends on it.
Sort of respectable. Okay. I don't know if this changed for you, Jessica, but last episode we had a resounding agreement that she deserved mad respect. We love Strat. She is a boss lady, and she gets it done. And yeah, and regardless of what the consequences would be for her after the fact, right? She acknowledges she's probably going to go to prison for exceeding all of her authority, but she's like, I don't care because it's going to get the job done, which, I mean, love, love, love. Jessica, did that change for you this read?
No, the respect for it didn't change my perspective of how I was viewing it at the beginning, because if you think about it, so in that moment, right, when I know that she put him on that boat against his wishes, that was essentially a hostage situation. She had collected all of these people along the way, and the astronauts are the only ones who actually volunteered. Everybody else was drafted. So she had been commandeering people as resources all along the way, and I had kind of glazed over it through the first half of the book and was sitting there singing her praises for how she cut through all the red tape and the world is her asset pool, and she's, whatever it takes, wherever we have to get it from, not damn the consequences, but I'll go to jail afterwards, kind of thing. And so it was more that it made me reflective that I had just applauded that so loudly through the first half of the book. And it wasn't until I knew that she put him on that ship against his will that I went, ooh, that's got a little bit of ick on it. But
Okay.
I'm gonna stick with her. I'm gonna stick with her because I meant everything I said in episode 1, right? Like, I do love a bee who gets it done. So I'm not going back on that. I just realized that I kind of glazed over quite a bit of that in the first half.
So the way you just kind of phrased that made me think that this was essentially an extremely large scale trolley problem, right? Hear me out. So the train is headed towards the Earth. Billions of people are going to die. Strat had the option to pull the lever, to reroute the train, to take out only Grace. And that's what she did. So I don't know. How do you feel about that, Garrett? Do you dislike that?
I mean, the major difference is that the lever that they're pulling is like very conditional, right? Like, it's not, the train is definitely going to miss Earth. It's like this whole mission could have it was a literal Hail Mary, right? Like, could have failed in a billion ways and probably had a very low, to be honest, chance of success. Like that, at least everybody going into it probably understood that to be the case, right? Like, I'm sure humanity was working on other options. We didn't hear about them necessarily, but working on other options as well. So that makes it a little different. Like, it's not as cut and dry. Like, it's one of those situations where like the person is absolutely going to be judged by the outcome. If the outcome had been bad, all of those things would have looked bad. But the outcome,
but to her point,
yeah,
humanity is doomed.
Exactly.
She was literally just trying to give humanity its best chance. And once she got to a place where Ryland was the best option, it no longer mattered if Ryland agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I say it's like, it's sort of respectable, right? I have to throw the sort of in there because I can't just be like, yeah,
Kill
like,
that guy.
crossing all the moral lines is totally fine.
Consent matters.
No, you're
Consent
right.
does matter.
You're right. You're 100% right. It adds a little ooh, but it not only adds an ooh in Strath's column, it adds a major ugh in Grace's column for me. I'm sorry. He drives me after that. After finding that out, I was just like, I had such an ick, and this is going to come up again in our MVP discussion, but like such an ick after that it's like reading this book for a second time is actually interesting, because when you go into it the first time, you don't know the context. When you go into it the second time, you know from the gate that this man said no to this mission, despite knowing everything about how effed humanity was. And yeah, the whole time I'm just like, oh, I don't, I liked him a little less the whole time because of that. So anyways, yeah, I guess I've got a lot of I feel bad. I'm a Grace hater in some ways, just based on that. But like, I guess if you were given that, if you were him, what would you do?
I mean, I'd like to think that I would do the noble thing, but I know I'd be scared
out of your mind.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's no way you're not scared. And I know I've read it before. I'm sure it's a trope that like we all think we're going to do the heroic thing. and we don't actually know until the rubber hits the road.
That's fair. What would you do, Garrett? What do you think
Gosh.
you would do?
What I would do,
What
or
do you
like
think you would do as Grace?
Jeez, that's tough. It's yeah. I don't think I would have readily volunteered for sure. Mostly because I mean it's hard to like pull apart the fiction from reality, right? If this were reality, there's like no way that mission went anywhere, right? Like it's like the
Yeah.
thing blows up, halfway to oh man, I can't
Tau
even
Ceti.
Tau Ceti. I was like, yeah, Ceti something, but Tau Ceti. Um, so it's kind of like a choice between like, do you spend, the last days of humanity with your family, making the best of it, or do you just like jet off into space and probably like 99% chance explode for no reason? That's a tough one.
I mean,
So I understand why he made the decision that he made, and why sometimes being a coward is not like the worst thing, right? Like it might for that individual be a rational decision, right? I mean, there's like conscientious objectors in war, right? That make that decision based on their own situation, even when, it's against terrible evils or whatever, stuff like that pops up where it's like, hey, sometimes not fighting might be the right option for you. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. If it was like, oh, there's 100% chance this is going to work, and we just need you to like go do it and probably die, I'd be like, oh, okay, well that's different. But that's not.
I have
what
a
this
really
was.
hard time believing in a world where I am the person who needs to be in the chair. Like I am humanity's best
Right.
option. Like there's no way that's true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to divorce that, right, from reality. It's like nobody's coming to me and be like, you're the
You're
one.
exactly what we need.
I think
At least you know what physics
it's
is.
gonna work. Trust me.
I think I'd like to think. No, I'm with you that I wouldn't volunteer if it was like, okay, it's time to pick the science people number 1 and 2. I wouldn't be like, put me at number 1, guys. But like, if it ended up that both science officers were dead and I had been training for years doing the same amount of stuff that they had been doing, and I was the only logical choice, and I was humanity's only chance. At that point, it's like, well, yeah, I guess I'm have to. Like, I hate it. It sucks that I'm gonna die, but like, there's no one else. Like, if I don't do it, then I buy myself a couple of decades, and the world dies. That just feels really selfish. I don't know. And like, I am someone who my whole life has been terrified of the concept of death, like acutely aware of it. You know what I mean? And even I even think that I would be like, well, yeah, I guess I have to now. I mean, it sucks and I'm scared, but what are you gonna do? And if he really did care about his students, he would do it.
Yeah.
He used them as an excuse, and he was such a little whiner after the fact. Sorry, the way he handled it was like, ugh. Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty clear in the book that it was intended for him to appear that way, right? Like that he made a panicked kind of like cowardly decision, right?
Yeah.
And that, out of fear. And again, like I'm not going to judge anybody for that because until you're in the hot seat, you don't know what you're going to do.
Don't know.
But yeah, I think it's tough. It's so hard to put yourself in that situation because again, I go back to like I don't know the reality of the situation. It's just like so many.
Never gonna
I
work.
refuse to believe in some situation where like this is literally the only thing that we can possibly do, and the project itself is called Hail Mary because nobody literally believes this is going to work.
Yeah. Tell you what, though,
that's such a hard thing.
Think about like being the captain on that mission where it's like,
Right.
yeah, your only qualifications are that you can fly a ship. Like, there's probably way more people that could be that person than could be the science officer. And so it's like, those people are truly brave, like the captain, because they didn't, they, yeah, good for them anyways, except for that they died. Rip. So I think I took that scene, that revelation, I think for me, and I'm trying to remember if there was anything else, but that to me was the biggest twist. I think that had the most emotional
Mhm.
impact, perhaps, for
Yeah.
me. It like got the biggest reaction out of me. Granted, like the relationship between Rocky and Grace, I thought was so heartwarming, and I like absolutely fell in
Mhm.
love with them as friends. But that was just like this slowly building thing that, you know, was just really heartwarming and kind of was underlying the whole book. The thing that Grace did to me was like the, oh my god, like that was the biggest emotional reaction for me. So like, what I guess were your all's OMG moments, or like your favorite, I guess, parts of the book? Granted, like it's my favorite because I hated it so much, but like, did you have any big emotional feelings? Did you have any big feelings about this?
I really, even though to your and Garrett's point, like there's a rhythm to books, right? Like it's not likely that so and so is dead yet because we still have this much book left. Sure. Even with that though, when they reunited, and I was listening to the audio when Rocky hears Grace knocking on the hull, um I cried. Like I got so happy I cried.
Yeah.
And that's not usually a thing I have, but and again, even though it's a relatively expected beat,
Yeah.
I still was just so jazzed at their reunion. And part of that was because I was proud of Grace for picking his friend. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I was proud of him because I thought that that was a braver choice. So there was a lot of that. It was I was excited for him in from a redemption perspective, but then just the sheer bliss of his friend found him and
Mhm.
is going to save him, and the way that the narrator did it, like I swear I could hear the hope in Rocky's voice
Yes.
when he realizes that Grace is back.
His
And
voice
so
was, like, cracking. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
no, the
it
narrator
choked me up.
the
It was
narrator me too.
crazy.
Honestly, you're right. I kinda forgot about that moment, but the
Yeah.
narrator really sold that for me. Garrett,
Yeah.
what were your big moments?
Yeah, the reuniting was a big one. I think like weirdly the just like they parted, and like he would go back and check the console and be like,
Aw,
okay, I
yeah.
can still see, I can still see, but then like finally he couldn't, right? And it was like, oh, that was kind of sad.
Mm.
Mhm.
Um, but honestly, that whole like I'm gonna say like final but kind of like the final sequence of the story, right? Where it's like they part and the moment that he has that revelation that he's like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be a problem for him, and it's like the panic and having to like go back, and then like you said, the reuniting, that whole sequence I feel like happened really fast, or maybe it just seemed like it happened really fast because there's so much going on. So I feel like that whole sequence was like probably for me the most impactful part of the whole story, for
That's fair.
sure.
That's fair. That was like, moments kinda set up the rest of the, like, "Oh,
Mhm.
great, finally doing something, like, selfless." Like,
Mhm.
good for him, like, that was a nice arc, for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then whenever Rocky he's like, "Grace!" Like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
No.
try to do it, but, like, his voice cracking and being so happy, and then just the realization that, like, he's gonna be able to save his planet, and Grace also kind of saved the Earth, but wasn't gonna be able to see it. All of that was great. And then the fact that Grace got to be a teacher again, like, I loved the reveal that he was teaching all these little space metal spiders how to, like,
Yes.
I don't know, do all kinds of things, teaching him science. I thought that was really cute. But I don't know. Yeah, the resolution was very heartwarming for me, for sure. In the end, I was much more satisfied with Grace than I was, 80% of the way through after the big
Mhm.
reveal. Um, so, Garrett, you're kind of a cynic sometimes. Did you like the happy ending?
Yeah, no, I like happy endings. I just
I don't
didn't
believe you.
like no, I
Nothing
just
like getting
didn't
called out by your wife on the podcast.
Uh,
no, I thought it was great. I think like one of the best things about his books is there's kind of this like optimism in like the application of like rationality and intention and science and all this type of stuff to solving these problems. I think when I was, very young and growing up, I feel like that was the general attitude that, like, I was at least, like, educated in. It's what, like, attracted me to, like, science, math, technology, and stuff like that, was this general optimism that, like, the world is gonna be a better
Make the
place.
world a better place.
Yeah, and, like, we can solve these problems because we can rationalize our way through it. We can learn based on, our experiments and, continue to advance, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like that has definitely, not been a thing in modern culture right now, so it's, like, kind of it feels almost good kind of to go back to that, to be like, we're back in this place where, like, we do feel like we can solve problems and, we can get through this. And so I think it's a good thing that they're that way, right? For me personally, I enjoy that versus the sort of like, in our culture today, the easy ending would have been just kind of a bad one. Like, actually, no, it all sucks and they're all dead. So, like, that's,
Project Hail Mary failed.
yeah, it failed like
Sorry.
everything else. So we're
Aw.
done. But like, so I appreciate that. I think it would have been far worse if it had been a sort of like negative ending, honestly, in any way. I think it's much better that it's positive.
Okay. Yeah, who would have thought there'd be like a heartwarming tale of friendship between a human and a metal space monster? Like, and also Rocky like acknowledging that he's like a scary space monster at one point in the book was kind of hilarious. Like, I kind of love
I
that.
was gonna say, to Rocky, he's just a fun space person, so
It's
I
true.
don't think.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. No, there was just like one like sequence of dialogue where Grace was feeling salty and he's like, we have these creatures on Earth. They're called spiders, and everyone thinks they're super scary. And he's like, oh no, I'm a scary space monster. And then they move on. Like,
Yeah.
I
The
love
banter is
the
top notch.
so
The
good.
banter is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So happy ending. Yay, Jessica, I assume. I mean,
Oh heck yeah. Oh yeah. I couldn't have asked for better. The idea of him teaching little Iridians, that they made an enclosure, that they made, a climate controlled area so that he could live amongst them. Yeah, it was all perfect for me.
yeah.
And the fact that, the the soul's luminance is redeemed, and they do leave him the option to potentially reboard the Hail Mary and go home if he so wishes.
Do you think you will?
I wouldn't.
Okay, both on team no.
No, just he has a really good fulfilling life there, even just based on the brief denouement, right? And what his body has been through, and to try and go through what it would take to make the return trek, for what? Like, I felt satisfied by the ending that he had a fulfilling existence there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rock the boat if it were me. I'd be like, no, I'm good right here.
Huh. I don't know. I think I might go back just because it's like eventually, did it work? Was the Earth irredeemable? Like, did they get into too many wars? Like, if I returned, I mean, the scary thing would be, yeah, like if I returned and everything's hell, then I made a huge mistake. But otherwise, like,
Yeah.
You'd return a hero, which is very selfish to be like, yeah, I'm gonna travel to years in
But
order
then you
to.
have all of humanity being humanity, right?
That's
Like,
the
so
issue. Yeah.
not to be too dystopian, but like Iridians are nice, the culture is there, and he's got a fulfilling existence.
Yeah.
And so the draw to do something that is very physically arduous, to
Yeah.
go back to experience humanity being humanity,
You're
it's
not
really
wrong.
a mixed bag.
You're not wrong. It's a good point that, yeah, needs to be made. I've talked about several heartwarming things. Another heartwarming thing that I wrote down that I forgot to mention was that they named the planet Adrian after
Yes.
Rocky's
Oh,
mate. I
yeah.
thought that was so cute.
Yeah.
Well, Adrian, which is Grace's name for Rocky's mate, which he can't pronounce. But yeah, I thought that was really cute. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So, Garrett, why haven't you named a planet after me?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten naming rights to a planet yet. I'm working on it.
Valentine's
Dude, they
present
let you
idea.
name stars. They let
I
you
do
name
know
stars.
that. They do let you name
Okay.
stars. Yes, I did know that.
That feels like such a how many people have named that star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Is this verifiable? Like,
Yeah,
come
I'm
on.
not sure if that's verifiable.
I know there's a website, so it must be true.
So true.
I should start one of those up. That would be a good
business
plan.
model. Yeah. Okay, so we've talked for a while. Are there any moments from the book that we need to talk about before we get into our MVP moments?
Mine were just little tidbits. So, why is your face leaking? It was just priceless. When Ryland was on painkillers and have you slept? You're dumb. Question. Like that whole. I'm paraphrasing badly, but him being like, once Ryland explained to him that if I don't sleep, I get stupid, and then Rocky very literally going, "You stupid, when you sleep last?" Question.
Yeah, no, Rocky's my favorite character. Well, spoilers. I love Rocky. Absolutely adore Rocky. Can't wait to see him portrayed in the movie.
I know.
I hope he does
I cannot
justice.
wait to see the movie. I can't wait.
I'm really excited. It's going to be one of those in theater situations. Can't wait till that one goes to streaming for sure. Okay, any other moments before we get into our MVP?
No, I feel like those are my fave. We touched on a lot of my faves.
The big ones. All right, so in every episode of But Are There Dragons, we pick an MVP and a runner-up MVP from the read. And because this is our last episode of Project Hail Mary, we will do the tallying and determine who the ultimate MVP of Project Hail Mary is, according to But Are There Dragons. Therefore, the definitive MVP of But Are There Dragons, Project Hail Mary. So, without further ado, Jessica, who is your runner-up MVP from this read?
My runner-up. I just got really conflicted.
You can do it. Don't be influenced.
My runner-up is Rocky.
Okay. Interesting.
Because I mean, he needs no defense as a contender.
No.
So I will leave it at that, and I'll explain my MVP instead.
That's fair. Okay. Garrett, who is your runner-up MVP?
It's also Rocky.
Okay.
It's a tough vote. It's going to be a tough vote.
Well, my runner-up is Grace, because I can't get over the ick. And I know that he had the big redemption and that he sacrificed, not his life, but he sacrificed his future prospects in Earth to save Rocky, which was incredibly noble, which is why it's not Strat. But I'll just go right into my MVP. You guys know who it is. It's freaking Rocky. Favorite character. Yeah. Absolutely hilarious. Solved all the problems that they had. Saved Grace's life. Thought he was sacrificing his own life by doing so. He is just a delight. And he's an alien shaped like a spider. So, never in my life would I be like, that's the one. That's my guy. But that is my guy. There's Agni again. That's also my guy. But yeah, no, it's Rocky for me. 10 out of 10. He's a great character. Fave. Okay.
Amazing.
Let's go back.
Garrett.
Who's your MVP?
Grace.
Okay. Explain yourself.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I think that he had a lot. Most of the decisions that would have put somebody in a bad situation were the decisions that he had to make, right? Strat, obviously, long ago on Earth, made these sort of managerial decisions to do what she did with the little pawn pieces that she had. But it's hard for me to super relate to that versus Grace he's doing the work. He's up there, he's doing the work. He's doing whatever he can. He's trying to figure it out. And at the end, like you said, he makes those sacrifices, right? not that any of the other kids, like Rocky would have probably done the same type of thing, right? Like he probably would have done the same type of thing, but Grace was the one who was put in the situation and had to do it, right? And he did it. Despite the fact that he probably was very afraid, and I think that's why it's so important that he had that scene originally that shows that he's not a brave person, right? Like he's not like an inherently sort of this like Paragon-esque personality where he's like, I'm gonna do the right thing no matter what. No, he's just like, he's a normal everyday human who does not want to die, but he did, he did the thing, and he did it not for, honestly, because like Earth was already done, right? Like Earth was saved. He did this for like a species that he had only ever met one entity from before, right? Like, I mean, he knows only what Rocky has even told him about this species. I think there's a lot of humans who would have been like, nah, I'll just go home, right? Like at the end of the day, but he was like, no, I can't, this is a whole sentient species. You can't just do this, right? Like I've got to do the right thing. So that I think is huge, right? Like it's a big deal. Again, not saying Rocky would not have done that. He just wasn't in the situation to make that choice. So
okay. Jessica.
Well, it's gonna be the beetle. No, it's Grace. it's Grace, and I made Garrett go in front of me just because it was just easier to torture him as the guest. I love a good redemption arc, and I did feel that the writer did a good job giving Grace a good redemption arc that I could believe in. I echo wholeheartedly a lot of what Garrett just said. He did a thing that was inherently selfless. He found a way to solve the problem of helping his people back home and helping an alien species that otherwise would be doomed, right? Like he knew at that moment that Rocky was dead in the water with his mission to save Arid. So, and I also felt like, so the redemption arc was huge, but also, again, kind of piggybacking off what Garrett said, that all that problem solving, man plans and God laughs, all of those plans that were laid out, all that information that was put out in front of them, so many things that had to be solved, and he and Rocky solved them. The things that never could have been foreseen, that they had to work their way through. So for those reasons, I just let him squeak ahead of Rocky and take the MVP.
I mean, that's fair. There was the whole sequence where Grace was just like slowly but surely breeding the Tau Mebas, which is the dumbest name there could possibly be. But anyways, he was the one that was like breeding the whatever nitrogen resistant Tau Mebas. And Rocky was like, are you done? What's going on? Like Rocky couldn't really do anything other than provide him all the materials, right? So like they were both absolutely crucial to the success of both of their missions. But Grace did do a lot of the science stuff. So, I'm not saying he's bad. Obviously, he's great. I gave him my runner-up, but sometimes you get an ick and you can't really shake it completely, and that's what happened.
It's real. It's absolutely real.
That's what happened with me. I don't know.
I kind of liked that dynamic though between them a lot throughout the book, because as somebody who was kind of like educated in the sciences, but eventually went to work more on the engineering side, it's fun to see that the two sides, right, and like how they think about things differently. And I thought he did a really good job in the book of fleshing that out with the two characters, right? Like, and that just what you said, right? Like Rocky's super impatient because he's an engineer. His entire like ethos is do stuff and break things, right? Like that's all you do all day. And on the flip side, he doesn't have the patience for the like rigorous scientific, hypothesis forming and analysis and experimentation, where it's just like, I have to do this thing 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I remember
but he's got so much in the execution realm, right?
Exactly.
And I think that the writing did a really good job as somebody who doesn't have either of those skill sets. That dynamic came through in the read. So I really dug that.
It's really cool. Yeah. As to me, that was like one of the coolest parts of reading the entire book, was just like seeing those two things, I think, executed really well, because it's a mindset, right? Like any trade or profession or whatever that you get into. Like it just has this like mindset that you're indoctrinated into, and you could like really see what, at least what I see a lot of times in my career and work, just the difference between those two mindsets coming together and having to like deal with each other, and it's really funny.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I love that. Alrighty. Feel good about Project Hail Mary?
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And I guess, as is the nature of our podcast, we have to officially confirm that there were indeed no dragons.
No dragons.
In Project Hail Mary.
And yet, it was my first 5-star book of the year. So
okay.
I'm not willy-nilly with my 5 stars, but it was a heck of a ride. I really liked this book.
Yeah. Same. Well, I'm glad that we read it then. I'm glad we read it in advance of the movie coming out. I think it was perfect timing. And let's segue straight into our next read, which we have already chosen.
Time out. We need to do the scoring?
Oh my God. Yeah. Sorry. What's no? You're right. We have to pick the official MVP.
Because I never do the math, Garrett. Your wife always.
I always do the math. So I'm always like, let's frickin' do it, guys. I'm always thinking about the math, which is ironic.
We have in fact had like 3-way ties before. We only have a 2-way tie this time. Tied for second is Strat and Grace.
Yes.
Which means that our winner is Rocky.
Yes. I promise I didn't rig this, but I kind of rigged it a little bit.
She didn't. I checked the math 3 times.
Rocky was my MVP
last time. And that made the difference.
I'm sorry. I'm not actually sorry, but no, I love Rocky so much. I picked him last time because he was my favorite character in the last read. Yeah. Picked him this time because he's my favorite character in this read.
And he did even more tinkering. Like he did even more like crafting and things. Like it was close for me.
Yeah. No. Okay. So all right, Rocky number 1, Strat and Grace number 2. Mm-hmm. Cool. I think that makes sense. That works because Strat is an effective woman, and I appreciate that about her. Okay, so thank you for that.
Yes.
Our next read is everywhere. Everyone I know is reading this or has already read it, and no one I've talked to does not like this book. I have not read it. Jessica has read it. We will be reading Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. Whoop, 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 whoop. Garrett, you have started that, right? You haven't finished it though, correct? Yeah.
I have not finished it.
I swear everyone is either reading it, has recently read it. Like the hype is so real for this book that I am very excited to dive in. Very, very excited. So read part 1 because it's broken into 2 parts incredibly conveniently for an episode drop on February 17th. So we're going to go a little post Valentine's episode this next go around. There's going to be a little bit of a gap, but get hyped, read the book, and come along for the ride. And that being said,
and I'll do just a little plug that this book is so incredible on audio. So if you have access to it in its audio form, I highly, highly recommend. I know Kritter's going to do that anyway because that's her jam.
Yep.
This book got me completely hooked on having a really good narrator. And I think that book 1, we'll see how we do after book 1, but if we continue on afterwards, the audio just gets better. Like book 1, the narrator is getting his legs under him. I feel like the audio just keeps getting better. But I'm going to try my hat at being a vet.
Okay. Jessica's first experience as the only vet, because we've done rereads. No? Yes? No? I don't know. Anyways, Jessica's the vet this time, which is very, very exciting. So thank you so much for tuning in to our second episode of Season 6 of But Are There Dragons? Brought to you by your hosts, me, Kritter XD, and Jessica Sedai. And also our very special guest, Mr. Kritter, Garrett himself. Thank you so much, Garrett, for coming on. This was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Don't forget to follow us at But Are There Dragons on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and But Dragons Pod, just 1 T, on X. You can also find your hosts on social media as CritterXD and Shelf Indulgence. That is it for today. Catch you in the inhabitable zone of Arid. Bye.
Bye.